Welcome to the midterm exam review. This video contains problems 54 through 65. And in 54, we're going to graph the square root equation. So first of all, we have sketched these. And if you actually put this number into the square root of x, if you put 0 in there, you would get 0. If you put 1, you would get the square root of 1. And if you put, let's not do 2 because I don't want to do square root. But if you did 4, you would get 2. So I'm just going to use these points throughout because I want you to notice that when you're answering a question on your exam, just make sure that you don't get, that there aren't any tricky questions that get you to pick something that is not exactly what you're looking at. Okay, so you don't really have to know how to graph these by every single little point. You just really need to know how to translate them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to remember that this translates up 1. So using our 0, 0, we're going to translate, we're going to move that up 1. So that'll be at 0, 1. And then for the 1, 1, we're going to go up 1. And for 4, 2, we're going to go up 1. So now we've got this line right here. Let's make that look a little bit better. Okay. All right. So for the next one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the 0, 0, 1, 1, and 4, 2, and we're going to move them down 3. Okay, so there's 1. The 1, 1 is going to go down to -2. And the 4, 2 is going to go down to the -1 right there. And then I'm going to draw my line. Okay, so that was 54 and 55. I was using just the same 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2 numbers, and I just translated using the +1 and the -3. Let's do number 56. So now I'm going to do it again. And what I'm going to do is what I've been doing, and I just want to make sure that we say it, is that I take the 3 out when I'm looking at these, okay? But then when I'm ready to translate, I look at what the 3 is going to be. I know I'm going to move it right, left, 3, because that's what x is going to equal, and in order to make it 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the points and move them left 3. So I've got 0, 0 is going to go left 3. Okay, 1, 1 is going to go left 3. And 4, 2 is going to go left 3. So it's going to be right there. So it's going to look something like that. My dots don't work very well on this. I need to get my other dots. So we'll leave it alone for right now, but we'll have to do something about that. Okay, so now I'm going to do this one right here where I'm going to move it right 3. And I'm going to use the same points as before. So I'm doing 0, 0, right 3. Okay, and then 1, 1 is going to move right 3. And then 4, 2. Okay, and then I'm going to draw that line. And that's it for these problems. Okay, so let's try number 58. Okay, so 58 asks us for the focus and directrix of this equation. So I'm going to remember that I have to set the number in front of the x squared, which you can say is the stretch or the a, have to set it equal to 4c. C is the distance that I'm going to count from the vertex to the focus. So C in this case is going to equal 3 in order to make 12 on the bottom, right? So if C equals 3 and I'm counting from 0, 0, right? I'm counting from 0, 0, and I'm going to count up since it's positive, and I'm going to count up because it's a y equals x squared parabola. So if I count up, then my focus is going to be at 0, 3. Now notice this is not perfect. I'm just sketching out what the parabola would look like. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But if you can't see it in your head, then I would write it out so that to make sure that you don't make any mistakes. Now, if I go up 3 for the focus, then the directrix is going to be behind the parabola or on the other side, which is right here at -3. So is that a y equals or an x equals? Be careful not to get caught up in the answers so that you make a mistake. So this is going to be y equals -3. Okay, so let's try it again. This time they want us to write an equation in the format of vertex form, which is y equals ax minus h squared plus k. All right. Now, remember that a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and put the vertex in there. So I'll just go x minus 0 squared plus 0. Okay. I'm not really going to need that, so I'm okay with that, but I'll fix it in the end. I'm going to go ahead and go, well, x equals 2. So this is x equal 2 right here, right? This is x equal 2. And if the vertex is 0, 0, then I know the parabola is going this way, and I know that C is going the opposite direction. So C is going to, or the focus is going to be right here, which means if I count, I know from the vertex to C, it is C equals -2. Okay, so if C equals -2, if I take that and put that into my equation, which is, what is this? Really? So 1 over -8. Let's fix that real quick. Little line's bugging me. So 1 over -8. So my answer is going to be y equals -1/8. And since I don't really have to write the zeros, I'll go ahead and take the zeros out. X squared. Okay, so those are our answers for number 58 and 59. Let's try 60. For 60, we have to memorize the quadratic formula. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, this is my a, here's my b, and this is my c. Okay, make sure you're just using the numbers in front of the x's. All right, some people will forget that and they'll actually put the x in with it, and they don't want that. So we're going to go x equals -b. A negative and a -5 is going to make a +5, right? Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4a and c. Okay, all over 2a. Okay, so I always do the square root first, and I fix that 5 right away too. So I do that. I actually kind of fix the bottom, and then I put the square root together, which is going to be 25 plus 40. So that is, remember that a -4, -2 makes a positive. So this is going to be a positive 25 plus a positive 40 will make it positive 65. Okay, so we have x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 65 over, now when you have a negative on the bottom like this, this is what they're going to do. They're going to change this a negative. They're going to make this one right here will change to a negative, but just because if one changes to the other one, then if one plus changes to a negative, the negative is going to change to a positive. Doesn't really change that all that much. So even though it is applied, it's not going to do anything to it really. So if you don't understand what I mean by there, let me know. Okay, so let me take this out real quick because this is our answer right here. Now, the key may show it a little differently. I'm used to writing it like this, but you just never know when you're talking about a multiple choice question. It could do it in both ways, so just be prepared. All right, let's try number 61. Okay, so it is best if you remember that the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. This is the piece underneath the square root. But in order to do that, we have to move this 7x over and this 7 over, make it equal to 0. Now we can actually take those numbers, which we're going to take our a, our b, and our c, and plug them in. So our b is 7 squared minus 4, our a is 1, and c is -7, which a negative times a negative is going to be a positive. Okay, so 49 plus 28. So that makes 77, okay? Remember, if this number is greater than 0, then you're going to have two real solutions, okay? If it was less than 0, it would have been two imaginary. Okay, and if it had been equal to 0, it would have been one real. Okay, so the answer is two real solutions, or the answer is A. Okay, all right, let's try another one. Okay, so the imaginary number I is just like a variable. We're going to treat it like a variable. Now, in some cases, we saw I being added to a whole number because we were using the quadratic formula. So let's just practice the I in case, we have to do that again. So in this case, we're going to add up the like terms. So this is on number 62, we've got 1 plus a -2. So 1 plus -2 is equal to a -1, and then -2i plus a -i, which you just got to pretend like there's a 1 there, is -3i, okay? All right, so for 63, we're going to do it again, where we take the 3 minus the 2, and that's going to give us 1. And an I minus a -2i. Well, that's really, a minus a negative is really plus 2i, because two negatives make a positive. So that's going to be 1 plus 3i. Okay, so we have that one there, and we have that one there. Okay, now, this one's kind of weird. We're going to FOIL it. So 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times 5 is just like you would do with an x. It's going to be 20i. Okay. Then we're going to put the inside together. So that's going to be a -2i. And then a -5i squared. Now imagine this, I is the square root of -1, right? And if you square that, you get just a -1 because they cancel each other out. So if we have an I squared, that really equals a -1. So we're going to go 8 plus 5 is 13. And a 20i minus a 2i is 18i. Again, we're just practicing these to say that we practiced complex numbers and that we understand that an I and a whole number cannot go together because they're not like terms. So we have to keep the answer looking like this. All right, let's try our last problem. Okay, one more stat edit problem. Again, we're going to use the stat button in the calculator, and you're going to go to edit. Okay, and you're going to go and put now generally if it's a table where you have rows, X comes first, and if it's a column like this, then X is first, Y is second, and you put them into your L1 and L2 exactly as shown. Okay, so if I go and do that, and then I have it all set up, and I go over to stat and calculate, I think this is what's tripping up people the most, is they say, which one do I use? So read the word problem, okay? Of course, there's a lot of information here, but honestly, they just want to know what the linear equation is where X is the price, the independent variable, let me say that one more time, where X is the independent variable and Y is the dependent variable. So what is the linear model? So we want a linear equation, so I'm going to pick, that looks like a W, LINREG. And then they give me the formula. And so all I need to do is plug it in. So my answer is Y equals -48.71x plus 189.2. Notice that, notice how many decimals they go to. Watch out for that and watch to see if the problem tells you how many decimals to round to. Okay, that's the last problem for this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Check out our other videos for the midterm exam review, and thank you for watching.